Got dreams of being a professional podcaster, but have no idea what you're doing?
This is impossible.
That's about to change.
A new kind of school.
Welcome to the Pod School Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the show. In today's episode, I am answering a question from Fiona. She asked me, do you have to pay your podcast guests? What an excellent question. And the answer is no. Bye-bye. No, I will explain a little further. The expectation for a podcast guest is that they will not get paid. Now, this may vary slightly if you are chasing after really high-profile people, because if they have the power and the leverage, then they can sort of maybe demand that they get paid and they might not do the show otherwise, and that's entirely up to them. But for the most part, and certainly even on shows that I've worked on where the guests are super high-profile, there is not an expectation to be paid. And while, yes, this is a justified reason to do a little happy dance and jump up and down and think, woohoo, I don't have to write a check every time I get somebody on my podcast, if anyone actually has a checkbook anymore. But since you are not parting with any coin to get people onto your show, that is all the more reason to make sure that there is something in it for them. Now, when you are a small fry podcaster and you are just starting out and you got your 2 little listeners and they're turning up each week and you're loving them sick, but you're trying to build and grow, then you're not going to necessarily be able to say to your guests, well, I've got this reach of millions of people and I can get you in front of their ears. So sometimes the sell can be a little bit harder. So it's not like you're going to be able to offer that to them in exchange for their time. But what you can offer them is a really fantastic experience. I have another podcast episode where I talk about how to get high-profile guests onto your show, and it's not necessarily always about high-profile guests, but you must always keep in mind about the huge favor they are doing by giving you content that you then ship out and potentially monetize and share or add to your blogs. There's so much stuff that you can do with that 30, 40 hour-long conversation that you have with them that you really have to keep in mind that you need to be giving them something in return. And like I said, that can just be a good time in the friendship sense, but just make the experience as enjoyable for them as possible, and please, as easy. You must be flexible when you are booking guests. This is why batch recording and getting ahead of yourself is so important. Again, I have another episode on batch recording, what it is and why you should be doing it. Being ahead of yourself time-wise means that when you are approaching your guests, you can say to them, oh, here are 3 or 4 weeks that you could choose a time and I will work around you. Or here are 7 different dates. Are any of these good for you? You need to be flexible and give them options because they are going to be doing something for free. So you want to make it as easy an experience as possible. That is really, in this episode, all I have to say on the matter. But when Fiona sent me this email, I thought, actually, while it is a quick question to answer, it is a very, very important one, because if you are just starting out and you want to do a guest-based podcast and you're thinking to yourself, I don't have the resources, I don't have the money, I won't be monetizing in the early days, so I won't be able to justify paying people. Now you know. You don't have to. It's not going to cost you anything other than your time, but please make sure that the experience is as good for your guest as possible, because they're doing a real good thing by coming on your show. Thanks so much for listening to this show. If you have a question that you would like answered, it could be a quick one like that or a longer, more involved one, then just head to podschoolpodcast.com and click on the contact page there and you will find a way to get in touch with me. If you are enjoying this show, please leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. It just helps other people find the show and know that it's not a pile of crap, which is always a good thing. All right, I will see you next week. And until then, happy podcasting.
That's all for today.